Welcome to the JD Show live on LinkedIn. So this week we have a wonderful guest, Mark Gaisford. But before we bring him onto the call, I just want to say thank you. There's been a ton of comments that have come back from this. There's been lots of nice feedback, lots of suggestions for future guests, and please keep those rolling in. It's hugely helpful to keep expanding that network, and everyone's got a great story to tell. So please hit me up in the comments, or send me DMs with any suggestions you've got to go on, or if you just want to take the mick out of me wearing a similar shirt for three weeks in a row, then you feel free to go ahead. So this week, as I said, we've got Mark Gaisford. The wonderful. How are you, sir?
I'm really well. Yeah, really well. You're not, though.
No. I was gonna pretend like that's not the case. So yeah, this is full of Benadryl and Lemsip cocktail.
Nice. Sounds great.
So if I pass out halfway, just keep going, Mark.
I'll just talk. Yeah, no worries.
So as I was kind of saying to you before the call, I want to get into what you're doing now, because I think everything that with regards to content creation and what you're doing on LinkedIn is really, really exciting. But let's jump back a wee bit and just talk a little bit about your career, of how we kind of got there. So have you always been kind of doing what you're doing now?
Oh, good God, no. I mean, to be honest, the freedom of working for yourself just allows you to do all these mad, crazy, stupid ideas, because there's no one actually to stop you anymore. And when you're working for someone else, you have to go through all these procedures and processes, and invariably someone says, no, that's a really bad idea. And so that doesn't happen anymore. So no, before that, I've been in the recruitment industry for too many years. But before that, I was...
And were you always working for other people in the recruitment industry?
I started out back in the day, a little company called Echo Employment, which was the precursor to Adecco. And so, yeah, I started out in one of the big boys, first of all, and then I set up my own thing in 2000. When job boards were cool, I set up a job board. And then I went back into corporate recruitment, and just, got bored with working for other people, and actually just thinking that I'm not so egotistical as to say, I was coming in on my white charger to change the industry, but there's something needed to shift and change a little bit. And there was like kind of the one side, which was all, we need to go down this sort of route of apps and all this sort of stuff, and let's disrupt the whole market.
Innovate.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to do that in 2000 when the internet came along, and we thought job boards would kind of get rid of the recruitment industry, and of course it didn't. So I kind of just wanted to play around a little bit more with video, and actually the first idea for Redsprout was actually kind of video interviewing, really, so that we could present our candidates to a client, as well as their CV, but actually bring across personality and communication skills and all those kind of things.
And is that something you still do?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, most of the time now for the roles that we're recruiting for, we'll video interview the candidate, and then we'll edit that and introduce the candidate through to client using CV, using interview. Yeah.
And actually put some. It's the one thing I hate whenever we get CVs through for new roles is, especially because a lot of what we do is for the creative industry, and not necessarily. Brilliant CV writers. Great at saying these are the projects I've worked on, but not necessarily great at putting it across. And when you see a lot of constant CV after CV with it's just these are projects I've worked on, everything kind of disappears. So having that way of getting people to get across and being able to edit, so get over themselves.
And the thing is, I think especially when you're trying to recruit for somebody in a client-facing role, that the way they present themselves, the way they talk, how articulate they are, those are critical factors. And whilst you can understand a little bit of that from a CV and whether they can write well, ultimately you're right. Would you buy from this person? And you really don't know that until they're actually sat in front of you. So video kind of lent itself to that, and then we kind of just went off on our own little trajectory and started doing other stuff with video as well.
and how did that happen? Just organically? Because you kind of invested in the setup, and you had like I say, everything in place to be able to do video, that you could have some fun with it.
Yes, and I got completely obsessed by the whole thing. So I have, I just kind of got hooked into this whole idea. And my son is a videographer, so I was lucky because I'd go home from work and so, how do you do that? And so most of home life was surrounded by, you know, how you edit something and how you do this, and you know what Premiere Pro is now doing, and you know this feature and that feature. And so I was lucky because I had him on hand to be able to sort of teach me the basics. I mean, he is 10 million times better than I am. And often it's so funny, Joe, because people say to me, oh, you've taught Jack everything he knows. No, it's completely the other way around. Completely the other way around. He is brilliant and I am merely his student.
So that is a really cool dynamic, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into as well, because that's what I follow Jack, and actually found your good self first. I think we connected before, whereas other people are speaking to, they were like, is that Jack's dad? And I'm like, I don't know who Jack is. So, you know, and just the way that networks work and such. But I've always worked in corporate, so you and I probably have that kind of touch together, whereas everyone else who works for us is a bit more creative, which is why they're set in Jack circles. So how did that happen then? Was seeing, I guess, did Jack do it at university, or how long has he been?
No, yeah, he did a graphic design degree at uni, but was always really focused on kind of lens-based stuff, and that's the way he wanted to go. So he's got a very creative brain, and so you know he's just using that in the medium that he loves the best. And I think also what he's tapping into is this need now for brands and individuals to raise their profile, to do something different, to you know rise above the shit and actually consistent, good quality video content that isn't salesy, but designing for social media. And I think that's still quite, you know, at its early days, really. A lot of companies still don't get that, and a lot of individuals still fear putting themselves in front of a camera and talking. And so, you know, he comes in and is really sort of trying to push people into that sort of consistent approach, because, you know, and it's not a quick win. This is the other thing. You know, you can't just put out a video and spend $5,000 on it, lob it onto LinkedIn and expect the phones to ring. It's not going to but that's kind of the expectations of a lot of businesses as well, is that I'm just going to oh, sorry, phone's going, and I've got a Mac, so everything rings at the same time.
We're live, no worries. That's the whole point of being live. It keeps us on our toes.
And so yeah, but I mean, you know, you've got to build that brand over time, and then, you know, the leads start to come in and you can monetize that a little bit more, but you can't just lob a video in there and say, that's it, I've done a video now.
And it's interesting because it's exactly what we've seen with our clients, but also what we've experienced ourselves as well, of, you know, being consistent, as you say, with content, not just video, but as, you know, many different types of content. That's why when you mentioned Jack, who went and did graphic design, I think that is a really important place for videographers to sit now, because without having that ability to do some After Effects, without then, sure, you can shoot great videos, but they don't really look quite right for the platform. And if that doesn't happen, you don't get the engagement on it as well. So did it help essentially to have, because I know from my own experience of having an internal team to do that, seeing how easy it is. Like, you know, takes a bit of the mystery and the fear out of video.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, so sitting in front of a camera for the first time, and people always say this to me as well, you know, oh my God, you know, you're just a natural. No, I'm not. I mean, honestly, I sat in front of a camera for the first time and I was shitting myself, you know, like everybody else does, you know, it's what happens. I mean, especially if you're on your own. I mean, there is nothing more bizarre than sitting on your own in a room with a camera, trying to inject some kind of personality into what you're saying, and you're talking to nobody. I mean, that takes a little bit of time and practice to get over, but a lot of people give up too early. And so, I mean, one of my pieces of advice is stick a picture of the person that you love the most in the world behind the camera and talk to them, because then actually you can actually start to sort of feel I'm actually talking to an individual. But I mean, we produced some utter garbage for the first probably 3.5 years of doing this. We didn't understand the algorithm. We didn't understand the psychology behind how you get content to work. You know, we were clueless really, but I was obsessed with video. I still loved it. So, you know, I just kept on going. And eventually I mean, the real kick for me was seeing Shay Rowbottom over in the States. And she was doing this really sort of entertaining, fast cut office skit type stuff. And I copied her. She knows this, you know, we're pals, and So I just copied her, but did it for a recruitment related topic. So we did this thing about job description, just ripped the mickey out of it, and it went nearly to 1 million views and 20,000 likes or whatever. And we suddenly thought, do you know, it was a real light bulb moment for me, because I thought, okay, LinkedIn is this sort of business and professional platform, but they're human beings behind the camera. You know, they still want to be entertained, and if you can deliver entertaining content, then you know, you go from there really. And so, but we're always evolving it. We're always trying to change it.
And what sort of metrics do you use to evolve and change it? The ones that you like, or the ones that do well, a little bit of both? How do you use to, because that's always something which is really, really important. And we went for the same thing. The videos we were first releasing were like, you should do social media because it is good for you. Where it's not us. It wasn't the conversations we were having. It wasn't the conversations we were having with people. We were just trying to, well, we should say the message first. So, you know, as you said, you know, you took a risk and then did something more creative, essentially, and emulated Shay.
Yeah, actually, Jay, to be honest.
Sure. But and then, you know, how do you evolve those videos then? What do you use?
I think the metrics are an interesting one, because and I, you know, I'm no marketer. I'm a recruiter. That's where I've come from. I've never studied marketing, never studied video. And believe me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. But you do, well, no, I got, and to a certain point, I'm still a little bit obsessed with the likes, the comments, the views, and all of that kind of stuff. And I think if you carry on that road, it takes you in a certain direction, and that is, I'm just going to entertain people because I want more likes, I want more comments, and and you've actually got to think at the end of the day that you know, we're running a business here where it's not just my own ego that we've got to satisfy, but actually we've got to generate leads and business coming through, otherwise I won't be able to do this anymore. So Livia's going to have a good look at me in a minute and give me that sort of eyebrow. Yeah, that's the one that says, you know, Mark, you're still obsessed by all that stuff. I'm getting to the stage where I get it, and we've got to produce, I think, different types of content for our different audiences. So we do go wide to capture this sort of big audience. We know our target audience are in there, so we've also got to produce that kind of niche content that talks just to them. So it's not all about, it's just absolutely not all about likes and comments and views. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about, you know, money coming into the business at the end of the day.
And that is the question I get asked most, especially when we're out there. A lot of what we end up doing is, you know, educating people on why this is a good idea and why it can work. Has your business seen a benefit from
massively? Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you know, even me sort of with my size 10s just lumbering in and doing what I do, it still has a positive effect. I mean, we are a recruitment business traditionally, and still to this day, many recruitment businesses are picking up the phones, making the cold calls, trying to generate the leads. That's the nature of the business, and it always has been. We haven't done that probably for at least the last 2 years. We don't need to, because business comes through to us because they see the content that we're putting out, and they phone us up or they email us and say, we'd like to do business, can you help us hire X, Y, and Z? So we haven't had to do any outbound sales for a long time as a result of that. And so it's a much nicer conversation when clients are coming to us rather than we going, you know, sell, come buy from me, you know. So it's a nicer relationship.
So and if you listen with one ear right now, you can hear a thud as about 80,000 recruitment agents fall off their chair. So you're actually getting enough inbound leads, and that's obviously, you know, recruitment is that the hardest bit of sales, where you're selling to client and candidate. I say selling, but you know, that's what you have to do. But you're finding leads from both of those places.
So we get a huge swathe of candidates that are coming through, letting us know that they're looking for something new. Can we help? And we get a steady flow of new clients coming through, inviting us to come and work for them and hire on their behalf. You know, so it's all good.
And it's and that is exactly what it is. It's all good. In fact, it's great. It's wonderful because you know, a lot of the businesses that we work with and we try and work with are industries which understand sales, because they know who their market is, and that's you know, actually salespeople, they're terrible marketers usually, but they know all the information. You know, they know who it is and how old they are and what the problems are they face. So being able to take that and put it out, but removing the sales element, like you say, it must be an easier conversation when people are on their 50th call and they speak to someone. Instead, they're like, "Hi, hey, I saw your message." It's the return.
And I mean, I think, you know, not that we've done a lot of this actually, but it's something that we probably will start to do. But I think when you then kick into kind of outbound sales strategy as well, and you do a little bit of outbound because of the work we've done in brand building, actually that's never really a cold call, because you know the people know you or have heard of you, have seen a video or something. So actually it's a lot easier to start that conversation than it would be if they don't know you from Adam, really. So
100%. So there's an interesting one that I found, and see if you have. The first conversation I have when it's a new client meeting or something like that now.
Yeah.
Is it different? Is it weird? What's it like?
Yes, it is weird. Yeah, it can be weird.
And why is that?
Because most people, I mean, I had this from a big corporate the other day, and it phones me up and says, "Oh," and then usually the first line goes like, I feel and hear, I think I'm talking to someone famous," and you just think, "Oh my God, let's get over that straight away." You know, let's. So it is a bit weird and it is a bit awkward, but you know, if that's the bit that drives people through, then you know, fine, that's great.
And I've found that I've had changed the way I approach meetings, or like the first little bit of the meeting, because they know me, they've seen a bunch of this happen, so I'm actually sat in a nice space where I'm just kind of having to do the other side of the, you know, of the finding out stuff, which is nice, especially as a salesperson. It's really nice to just be like, no, tell me more about you. And they're like, great, yeah, because I know everything about you. I'm like, okay, well,
exactly.
You do. Maybe I'm releasing too much content.
I don't think I don't think you can ever do that, really. I mean, that's, you know, that's been my adage for a long time actually, is just give, don't sell, and give it away. Because actually, what are we selling? We're selling time, and yeah, I mean, with your industry expertise as well, but certainly from ours, we're selling time, because I mean, anyone can go onto LinkedIn, do a search for someone, and start to post some messages out, see if you can get into conversation, pick up the phone, have a chat with someone. Anyone can do that, but it's massively time consuming. So what we're selling is, yeah, we're selling our network and our reach, but we're also selling time. So you know, what is the harm in telling people how we do what we do? There isn't any, because they haven't got time to do it in any case. So they're going to.
And same thing on our side as well. Anyone can edit a podcast. Anyone can create a video, right? You've done it yourself. It's not a hard thing to learn. And exactly. With YouTube, you can kind of pick up anything now. If you want to be a welder, you can do it, right?
Go and watch Peter McKinnon, and he'll tell you everything you need to know about Premiere Pro. Always a great resource. How do I do that, Peter? Tell me.
But it's the time, isn't it? And as you do it, you know, you get the expertise, and you know, it's very recruitment agent of you to be like, you know, we're just spending time on it, but you become experts at how to get those messages out, and exactly, and how to do that bit.
But if you're telling people, I mean, you know, if you're telling people how to do it, and you're out there all the time telling people how to do it, when they need someone to do it, where are they going to go? To the person that told them how to do it in the first place. It's a no-brainer when you think about it, but a lot of companies are still obsessed about, don't give away the secret sauce, and you know, don't give the secrets away. Well, just give it away, honestly, because most of the time people haven't got the time or energy to do it themselves. They'll come to you because they'll perceive you as the expert.
And it's, even if I got the Colonel's secret sauce, even if I got the 26 spices that go onto KFC, I'm not going to make it, right?
No, it'll never taste the same anyway, will it?
Never in a million days. I haven't got that fryer that's been cooking KFC for the last 6 years. You know?
That is a revolting thought.
well, it's because we're branding this show, or the tagline, and I've always got KFC in my thought process at the moment, which is finger LinkedIn good.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Okay, because there's been a few different receptions.
Nice. So no, I like that. Yeah, like that.
So as videos evolve, as you fall more into it, what is kind of next then? Because I've like I said, I've followed you for some time, and it's very organic, the changes you make. It's only if I scroll back loads and be like, oh, hang on, these were different videos at one time. You know, do you have plans for the future of what you want to do, or is it all just kind of stuff that happens as you're doing it?
Oh, I'd love to say that I plan the whole thing. Honestly, there's not very little planning behind the whole thing, to be honest with you. It's usually my brain ticking over when I'm walking the dogs in the morning, thinking, oh, that would be a great idea. And sometimes they're not so great, and sometimes they're okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to evolve anyway, because LinkedIn as a platform is evolving. So I mean, when you think that native video has only been around on LinkedIn for quite a short space of time, and so this sort of surge of content creators have come on and really honed in on LinkedIn as their channel and are trying to own that, then I think we've got to evolve it. I think it's different. I mean, all of the social media channels are different. You can't compare it to YouTube. People go on to YouTube, sit on the sofa, they'll give it 20 minutes, they'll spend an evening on it, and all the rest of it. LinkedIn is not great for searching, so the content that you're producing is going to appear in someone's news feed, so you've got to get your head around what's going to stop them scrolling. And so thumbnails on your videos are absolutely essential, that attention grab, and our rule is pretty much over 2 minutes and you're probably risking losing your audience, so you've got to condense your content. However, I'm on this current mission, and we kind of did it with the No Friends video that I put out before Christmas. That actually is storytelling, but still in short form content. So again, because I'm a great one to rip off someone else's great idea. I mean, why come up with it yourself if someone else has already done it? But you watch Casey Neistat around how he creates stories, and he's put a video out about this, and there's 3 acts in every story: setup, conflict, resolution. So build a story, but just make it in 2 minutes and build it around those 3 acts, and you've got story. So I still think there's a route that we can go through on LinkedIn, creating good stories that engage people, and that's a real mission that I want to take on this year, actually, and do much more of that type of content.
Really interesting, because that is the natural progression of this. Now, the fact there are people out there producing, regular content and lots of it, and it's video, and then, like you say, it starts to get funny, which means you have to script it to a degree. It has to be an idea, even if that is just like, oh, got it, I'm going to go and do that. You have to put that idea together. But then moving to more traditional storytelling, but keeping within the constraints of the platform. So have you found then, for videos that you've released which are over 2 minutes, because important point for anyone out there who's looking to create great content, have you found that over 2 minutes you just see a big drop off in the views, etc., or what have you seen that's showing you that?
Again, we can't give you metrics on this. LinkedIn's some metrics are so atrocious. They just give you almost no information whatsoever. So I'm really going on the back of the engagement, likes, comments on a video. But if you're going over that sort of time period, then people don't. I think people almost see, if you got 3 minutes 20, 3 minutes 40 in the little right hand box, and they're going, nope, you know what, I'm going to last 10 seconds, and if you're not going to grab me within that first 10 seconds, I'm out of here. And so you do see that. Whereas if you keep it short, punchy, you edit hard and fast, then and don't leave pauses and and ums, you edit the hell out of those, get it out there, keep it all really punchy, then people will stay with you for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, probably max.
But then the incredible thing is about that is when they've stayed with you for that minute or two, they'll go and watch 3 or 4 more 2 minutes.
Exactly.
In the vibrant, once you pulled them in, which is really interesting. How about shortness? Do you find if you're releasing anything that's like 30 seconds or something, it doesn't get the same kind of engagement?
I think we've seen some. I did a silent movie the other day, which was, I just thought it was one of those where
I saw it. It was great.
But I mean, a client came through and said, we've got this role, and we can't say publicly anything about it at all. It's totally private and confidential. Can you find someone? And so normally, traditionally, what we do is say, yeah, of course we can, and we'd go behind the scenes, do the headhunt. We'd never tell anybody about it. And I just thought, well, let's do something a little bit different. So we did a silent movie, which was, I've got this new job, but I can't tell you anything about it. And it was just me with stupid, quirky music, trying to, and people like that. So I think, that's the other thing. There are so many people that say, no, don't put that out, it's silly, or don't put that out, it's unprofessional. Oh my God, just do it. Honestly, I mean, if you make a mistake, I mean, if you make a mistake, I still don't think this is a mistake, but a lot of people do. When you video yourself on the toilet, it's for me, it's entertaining. I thought it was brilliant. In retrospect, would I do it again? Probably not. But it's kind of it's a bit of yesterday's newspaper. But equally, I think people respect you for trying a little bit and trying to sort of go against the grain and doing something a little bit different. So anything goes, to be honest. I mean, just don't appear nude, but anything goes, really.
Exactly. But like, what I really like in when you get into that rhythm of releasing like regular content, and consistency is no longer a problem, that you can start to kind of blur the edges a little bit. You can start to move around and say, okay, well, what about, like, no, do come in here, film this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I do, absolutely. And consistency is the key. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's often this debate around quality and consistency and all of that sort of stuff. And people if there's one question I get asked all the time, it's how much time do you spend producing video? And my answer is pretty much all of my time. And they say, how do you justify it? And I say, because I call it business development. And would you spend all your time doing business development? Yes, you would. And that's the answer, because it generates business for us. So, we can justify the time and it works for us.
So how long were you riding the lightning then, where you're spending all your time producing content before, as we were saying earlier, it takes a long time. It's a long lead, right? Yeah. So how long were you doing that?
We weren't doing it we weren't producing anything like the consistency that we are now. Sure. we would probably, and it was never thought out either. So although I was obsessed by video, we were still very much in learning mode. And Liv and I used to talk to Liv and say, should we do a video? We'd sit down, we'd talk utter bollocks for about 10 minutes or 9 minutes 59 seconds, because that's all the LinkedIn will allow you to put up. Okay. And then we'd post it and no one would engage with it. And I used to love the process, but no one cared. And so back in the day, we didn't do we were never producing daily video content or anything like that. So that really only happened in the last year.
Okay, so you got to kind of see the fact that this was a real business benefit then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. As soon as that that kicked into my brain, and we understood how you could translate this into lead generation, then I invested a ton more time in it.
And that is, I think, the real problem most people have is, they think of video as well as a big production. We were saying, no, I think we were saying before this, take a picture of either of our setups. And I tell you what, after this, I'll post a picture of what we got, do the same as well, because it's nothing. This is a webcam. This is a tiny little camera. That's a phone. All of this goes into one bag.
Exactly.
It's not what it was.
And there is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong at all. I mean, this is an iPhone 11. I know it's got a good camera on it, but I mean, there is nothing wrong. And if I was starting out video now, no, would I invest in a Canon EOS R and all these, all this stuff? No, of course I wouldn't. I'd want to see some return on that. So I would definitely utilize what I got. And you can do some incredibly creative stuff with an iPhone. I mean, the slow-mo function on an iPhone is crazy. The time-lapse function on an iPhone is great. So you've got this ability to create B-roll. The camera equipment actually doesn't matter. The key to this whole thing is get your ass onto YouTube and understand how you edit in a decent editing software like Premiere Pro, because you can turn shit into something golden if you can edit.
It's as simple as that, right? Yeah. And it really is. And it's amazing that you can when you start to then put that into the shoot, because the thing is that people don't do it. They just don't start. They just don't start making anything, because they do exactly what you were saying. They spend 6 months looking at what kit they're going to purchase, and then they look up all that. Oh, I need this lens and stuff.
Yeah, you don't.
All of a sudden, you've spent $3,000 before you've turned the light on and pointed the camera at a thing. Yeah, exactly. Get a good stand for your phone.
Exactly. Yeah, good tripod, and you're away. And a good. I mean, the only thing I'd add to that is because the mics on an iPhone are rubbish. So get a decent mic, and again, learn to process your audio in Audition, and then that gives you scope. Even with a rubbishy mic as well, you can play with your audio as well. Yeah, exactly. And so you don't need massive kit. You really don't.
And it's one of the things, as you start to do it, you'll then say, oh, okay, where I'm filming, I need a backlight.
Yeah.
I need a light to make it look nice there. Okay, cool. And you'll just learn that organically and be like, cool, I can buy one light then for nothing and see what it looks like, and it looks fantastic.
In the last 3 years, Days, I reckon I've spent in my total kit, and I've over the last 3 years, I've probably spent £1.5 grand, and that's it. But we produce, you know, I was going to say the quality. We produce what we produce. We produce what we produce on the back of that kind of kit. So it's not. But I mean, you know what? I think I'm actually going to challenge myself, and I'm going to do a video that is just purely on the iPhone, and again, just to demonstrate how you can do something with almost no kit at all. So
the real challenge will be then is, can you edit it in iMovie as well?
Oh, I've never even bothered to try.
Trust me, if you can use Premiere, you'll be able to use it. It's like,
oh, really?
put things on, super easy. Well, look, it's been awesome. We try and keep these two relatively short for the same reason that you were saying earlier. Hopefully, this has been someone's commute if they weren't able to sit down between 2 and 2:30. And whilst I'm working, I'm learning about content.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if people aren't following you out there, how do they find you? Where do they find you at, Mark?
Oh yeah, just go to my LinkedIn, Mark Gaisford, and also follow our Redsprout channel as well, because we're trying to produce a bit more content for the Redsprout channel as well. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And anyone who's joined us live, thank you so much. Again, hit us up in the comments, and I'll be posting, and me and Mark will both post a picture of our incredible big production setups in a moment or two. Thanks very much for coming, Mark.
Cheers, Jay. See you later.